Brothers and sisters, we congratulate you. We congratulate you on having reached the point where you can accomplish anything you can conceive. We stand in awe of what you can do. Take a small project, if you will, the reforestation of these United States. Trees absorb carbon and other gases from the atmosphere. Think of it, a single tree can absorb 48 pounds of carbon from the air in a single year, and during that time it makes enough oxygen for 4 people to breathe. Trees protect against severe flooding and storms by slowing the water's strength as it surges on land, and by absorbing excess water from the soil and releasing it as water vapor into the air. Trees provide shade. They help retain moisture in the soil, thereby supporting fertile agriculture. Trees enhance biodiversity by creating healthy ecosystems that convert the sun's energy through the miracle of photosynthesis and absorb and transfer carbon from the atmosphere, thereby creating soil. Trees make living soil. The World Resources Institute has a wonderful plan for planting 60 billion trees here. But where are the trees going to go? Well, first of all, 21 billion trees can be planted in reforestation projects. Planting on trees that were once forests but now no longer support forest cover, including trees disturbed by wildfires or disease, as well as the vast open spaces in rural areas and the suburbs. Many of these landscapes will not regenerate forests naturally, but with your help, they will. Then, forests, especially on the East Coast, can be restocked with 24 billion trees. Most U.S. forests used for timber are considered understocked by the Forest Service. In other words, especially after timber harvests, the forest can be replanted, and also competition from invasive species can be controlled. And of course, this means as many as 24 billion trees can be planted in forested areas. Then 13 billion trees can be planted in pasture lands. The cattle will love them. It will help mitigate their exposure to heat and direct sunlight. The cattle will rejoice in them. And the trees will also increase fertile soil and provide supplemental income from timber, fruits, and nuts. Then there are croplands along the rows of different crops, along streams, along rivers. Between rows of crops, trees can be planted around the edges of field and so forth. And that's another 2 billion trees. And then, dearest to our hearts are, of course, urban reforestation initiatives. And that's 400 million trees. 400 million trees can be grown in urban areas. Imagine, if you will, community orchards. Imagine friends and neighbors working together, caring for trees. Imagine turning public parks into permaculture orchards, featuring heirloom and historic fruit trees. After all, there's Thomas Jefferson's favorite apple, Aesopus Spitzenberg, or George Washington's Newton Pippin. They're still sold in the stores, but they're of rare occurrence. They can be grown most anywhere US of A. And there are so many other treasures, like Cox's Orange Pippin, Ashmead's Kernel, Egremont Russet. Their flavors are beyond compare with the apples you find in supermarkets. Then, of course, there can be plums, peaches, and nectarines. What about the cost, you say? Well, it's estimated that this would cost $4 to $4.5 billion per year, and that the tree restoration project can be completed in 20 years. This is small change, pocket money, compared to what they are currently spending. Consider, for example, the $2.3 trillion infrastructure spending plan currently before Congress. It's all within your compass. Friends and neighbors getting together and planting permaculture orchards, edible schoolyards, and victory gardens. There were 20 million victory gardens during the Second World War, and they produced 40% of the vegetables that people ate. It is all within your compass. You can do it. You can bring about the new birth of freedom that Abraham Lincoln prophesied. We can go from delirium to a garden for the human spirit. You can do it. You can bring about the redemption of these United States. Thank you so very much, brothers and sisters. Our privilege to share. Your comments are so much appreciated.